to be king. Anything else you need, let me know in the next hour. Thank you. Merci. It came out Maxine. And her, oh, this is funny, she's Danish, and her name is Signe. And so one day when I did it, it came out Signe. And I didn't even. That water looks weird. You know what? I really just, yeah. And then looking up, stuff. It's just so easy. It's an iPad. Yeah. Yes. And I've had it for a million years and have not changed the battery. Yeah. Which is amazing. And I use it literally every day. I mean, every day. Well, I'm gonna get rid of mine. I just got an iPhone. We just switched over to AT&T from I had Verizon. So yeah, so you know what? It's all kind of the same, I think, really. Yeah, I do not know. Well,
feel it melt away, where time cannot find me at all. Just a breath away, nothing here but heaven, nowhere but love to fall as I go within. Quiet peace offers something sacred. There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace that reminds me I'm always home as I go within. Quiet peace offers something sacred. There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace that reminds me I'm always home. It's here that I am always home.
Yes, thank you. So beautiful always. I hope you feel like it's home when you're here at Seaside. And our goal for this Wednesday night service, this Going Within service, is to create a place that we can come together midweek and just pause. Just take a break from the busyness of life and reconnect, center ourselves. So we like to take about the first 15, 20 minutes or so. We'll do meditation and be more in the silence. And so just enjoy, relax, allow yourself to let go of whatever happened today, and allow yourself to be fully present right here and right now. So to begin this evening, we have a practitioner who's going to be with us on a regular basis, I'm happy to say, practitioner Trudy Sepke.
Thank you for the introduction. Whoa. Well, good evening, everyone. And I really like what you've just said about making this kind of an oasis, a place where we are with kindred spirits. And so with that, would you join me by just going within, bringing your conscious awareness to an inner place, and just let us turn within to our inner divine consciousness. And perhaps for the first time this evening, if you would just indulge all of us in taking a nice deep breath. And as we begin to just align more with God, becoming more aware of God's presence, and knowing that there is nothing to be healed, nothing at all, only God to be revealed in my mind. And as we look into this evening, we do so with peace in this oasis of kindred folk. So settling in and asking that more God be revealed in my heart, more God be revealed right in my life as joy, as peace, as an abundance of wealth, as an overflow of aliveness. And mostly, I am just aware that I know God loves me just the way I am. And so this evening has begun, and it does so in perfect unfoldment. And for this, I am truly grateful, truly blessed. And I simply say, and so it is. Well, I am delighted that I am kind of double dipping tonight. So along with holding the light, I'm up here. So I'm hoping that each one of you come to see me for prayer. My curfew's at midnight. So if you're willing to be here late, I can be here with you. Be happy to take any burden from you, from your heart, from your being, and just lift you and support you, tell you that you are loved on your journey despite the circumstances of appearances. And also, if you haven't had an opportunity, please come up to light a candle at this time. And we have such wonderful musicians, both Jim and Araya. I'm sorry, Aria. Emphasis on the ra. A little nervous, I'll get over it. As they will lead us into our meditation this evening and then just as delightfully bring us back out.
There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one. instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
What a warm, beautiful song on a chilly night. Thank you very much. Tonight, Reverend Debbie will be speaking about making friends with the ego. And what I think is fascinating is what exactly and this will raise some of your awareness to who this is. Her name is Dr. Jill Taylor Bolton. Now, the first time I saw her was she was being interviewed by Oprah, because Oprah grabs everybody who's important and interviews them. Well, one of the things I noticed is I began to compare it with my own life. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I have had some wonderful vocations in life. At an early age, I started off as a hairdresser. And something about the ego and hairdressing kind of go together. And in fact, it's part of the sales package. But what I realized is for myself, I often had a lot of fear. What if he doesn't like his haircut? What if she doesn't like the color red? And on and on. But what happened was I would usually come back to something so simple, like being reminded to listen for the way of divine consciousness. In other words, Dr. Jill is about to have a stroke here as I read it. And she had a stroke to come out of her ego mind. We don't need to do that, but what I realize as a hairdresser, not only does hair grow back, but the fact that I'm trying to do my very best, and if I rely on the love and compassion of expressing through my hands artistic ability, I cannot lose. I cannot lose. Another vocation I had, which I still love very much, is elementary school teacher. And it's like herding cats some days. kindergarten, second grade, it was tough sometimes. I was like, oh, Lord, just get me out of this. Is it lunchtime yet? Can we have an extra recess? At any rate, again, putting my ego in the place of anxiety this time, feeling uncomfortable in my own skin sometimes for the children's safety. Are they really learning? Was that a parent I just saw come in the back door? You know, all these things go on in your mind. And so here I am at another crossroad. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be taking the marriage, 2 weeks, 4 hours, and 3 minutes. I'm going to be taking the marriage family therapy exam. So I get an A for ambition, but it doesn't mean my ego doesn't have more nervousness. The what ifs are coming in. And so again, I just want to remind you to listen for the way divine consciousness is nudging us, oftentimes, very gently, sometimes pushing us into deeper ways of just learning more about ourselves. By the way, I'm getting very techie, but not by choice. When I called Amazon to order the book, they were sold out. That's a good sign. So I uploaded it on Kindle. And this is called, of course, Making Friends with the Ego. And Ram Dass has a quote put in here. The ego, it's an exquisite instrument. Enjoy it and use it, but don't get lost in it. Now, Dr. Jill Taylor Bolton, a brain scientist, had a stroke. And as she was having it and afterwards, she analyzed what was going on to learn more about the brain. During her stroke, her cognitive faculties, what she called her left brain, stopped functioning. And all she had was her intuitive right brain and the experience of reality, which enabled her to feel and see her oneness with everything. It was a powerful, mystical experience. The only problem was she couldn't distinguish between her body and the wall. Then, when she finally got to the telephone, she couldn't recognize the numbers. And she knew what was going on, guys. This is interesting. Nor remember that she had to dial them in sequence. And it writes, her TED Talk, which many of you are familiar with TED Talks, talks about her experience as truly amazing and worth watching. Through her description, we are reminded of two things. First, that we are actually wired to sense and experience oneness. And second, we are also wired to be able to function in the space-time continuum. She says it's the left brain that does this. Others ascribe this functionality to ego, which helps us understand why the ego is necessary. It helps us function in linear time, prioritize tasks, classify things, and choose what's next. These are all useful and necessary functions, and we should be grateful for our ability to do them. And finally, the ego is only a problem when we forget and think that its view is the only way to see and engage in life. So with that, let us welcome Reverend Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I can see that you're an elementary school teacher. Can you see that in her as Trudy speaks? So grateful to have you with us, Trudy, truly. So, making friends with the ego. That's what, we're in the 5th week of our Joyous Abundance program, which is what we have here on the back wall. And that is the name of Dr. Christian's book that Trudy read from tonight. And so it is a 366-day daily guide because it's leap year. And we do have copies in the bookstore. Amazon may be out, but we have a few. So this is the 5th week of the program. And Dr. Christian's page today was making friends with the ego. And there was a story that I came across of a wise man who lived in a village. And all the village people came to him to ask him questions. And a young man came to him and asked him, he says, "What is the ego? I'm told that I should not have it. And how do I get rid of it?" And the wise man said to him, "Well, your ego is your self-awareness. You need it to attain your goals and to make those goals. But you must be careful. It is like the nails on your fingers. Be watchful that it does not become overgrown so that you lose your grip." You know, and that's the thing with the ego. I mean, it has gotten a bad rap. You know, normally when we talk about ego, we think of it as being not a good thing to have an ego. But there's actually good in the ego, like the story that Trudy read, you know, that it does keep us in this time and this place. It's the thing that separates us in this linear division. And I'll get a little bit more into that. I want to read you the definition. I love these definitions from the Urban Dictionary. I don't know if you ever look at the Urban Dictionary. But this is the way it defines the ego. The part of you that defines itself as a personality, separates itself from the outside world, and considers itself a separate unity from the rest of nature and the cosmos. So the ego can create separation, and we know that separation is not a good thing when we talk about it from a religious science perspective, right? Then we have a more kind of psychological description of the ego. The I, or the self of any person, ego is actually Latin for I, is a psychological term. The ego is the part of the psyche that experiences the outside world and reacts to it. So we have a couple different ways of looking at the ego there. And then Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind text talks about the ego as being the individualized self. So even Ernest uses it in a little different way. But what was so fascinating about Jill Bolte Taylor is her name, and she had a stroke on December 10th of 1996, and she has this amazing TED Talk. I would urge you to go watch it because it's just fascinating what she discovered. Here we have this scientist, a woman who studies the brain, who was experiencing a stroke, and as she's experiencing it, she's studying it. So she has enough recall to know that something's going wrong. And she wakes up in the morning and she begins her regular routine of exercising and getting on her treadmill, and she starts to notice that her body looks weird to her. Her hands feel like big claws, and she looks down and she thinks this body is really a strange thing. And she has this terrific headache, but she still hasn't put together yet that she's having a stroke. And she goes to get in the shower to get ready for work. And as she gets in the shower, the headache is increasing. And she leans against the wall and she looks down to see that there is no separation between her body and the wall, that it's all merged, that all the molecules and all the atoms are becoming like one. So this is starting to get her attention, you know, and then her whole right side goes paralyzed. And now she realizes, oh my gosh, I'm having a stroke. I need to call somebody. So she goes to the telephone and looks down at her business card because she can't remember any numbers, and all of the numbers on the business card are pixelated. She cannot read the numbers. So she comes up with a way of taking her paralyzed hand over the card and looking to match the design of each number to the number on the telephone pad, and amazingly, she gets through to her office. And when she answers the phone, she says it sounds like, on the other end, rah, 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 rah. She has no recognition of voice, and she speaks, and it's the same thing, rah, 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 rah. Well, her colleagues realized she was in trouble, sent an ambulance, she got to the hospital. But while there, she had, I guess, what we would call a near-death experience, where she realized in that moment that she had to make a choice whether she was going to stick around or not. But what was the interesting thing was that when this side of her brain, she had the hemorrhoid on the left side of her brain, which controls our linear thinking, which controls our kind of list making and our to-dos, and it's sort of that linear analytical part of ourself. And when that was disconnected, if you will, when that was shut down, she was left with her right brain, which controls our emotions, our feelings, love, beauty, all of that. And without this left brain, and we're going to call that the ego, because that's more our individualized sense, it has to do with the future and the past, where our right brain has to do with right here and right now. And she was fully in that moment right here and right now. And what she experienced, she called nirvana. She called it bliss. She recognized her absolute oneness with all of the world. She no longer was this individual in this little body. In fact, she expanded so large that she had the thought that she was never going to be able to fit back in this body. You know? And in listening to her describe this experience, it is just amazing, and you really do get that sense that she was one with all that was. And what she came to recognize, if that was possible for her, it was possible for anybody. You know, and she goes on to talk about spiritual practice and how to create that in your life. But what was the thing that really is interesting is that removal of what we call the ego, that removal of what we call sort of our individualized self, that enabled her to experience the oneness. Remember a few weeks ago we talked about the 4 kingdoms of consciousness? And I'll go over them just really briefly. But remember, the first kingdom is we're victim. It's being done to me. And that's where a lot of us come into religious science. We're victims. Everybody else is at fault. Everybody's doing it to me. My poor luck, my bad luck, right? And then we move from that kingdom into the second kingdom, which is the kingdom that is being done by me. And that's the kingdom where we're powerful, right? Well, that's the kingdom of the ego. I'm doing it. Look at me. Aren't I great? I can make it happen. And then tonight we're talking about that third kingdom, where we move into that place that we're doing it, that it's being done through me, that God is expressing as me. Not that I'm expressing God, but God is expressing as me. I'm not doing anything. I'm that vessel. I'm that transparency. I'm that channel through which spirit shows up in the world. And that's the egoless version of ourself. That's that place where we surrender absolutely to the divine. God, have your way with me. Do with me what you will. I'm here. Use me. Trudy already read the Ram Dass quote that's in the book, and it's a good one. It's, Ram Dass said, "The ego is an exquisite instrument. Enjoy it, use it. Just don't get lost in it." Another quote, or another person that I want to talk about just for a second is Chuck Chamberlain. Chuck Chamberlain was a religious science minister. He was very active in the 12-step movement. And he talked about the ego. And what he says about the ego is that he says that he found the good in the ego. And what he believed the good in the ego was that it was the burr under the saddle. It was the burr under the skin. It was the thing that kept us going as individuals. It's the thing that kept us moving in the world. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is good in the ego, but our job is to keep it in check. You've probably heard the acronym, the ego is etching God out. Where we take over and there's no room for source, there's no room for spirit, there's no room for first cause to show up at all because we're running the show. It's our job really is to stay right-sized. How do we stay at that place that we're not less than or greater than? That we just simply are one among each other. That we all are equal. There's no look at me, aren't I doing great, aren't I all that? But yet you are an individualized expression of the divine and magnificent and beautiful and unique and wonderful. So how do we do that balancing act? How do we make friends with the ego? Well, one of the best books that I've ever read is Joel Goldsmith's book that is called Consciousness is What I Am. It really helped me to understand this idea of staying right-sized. And he uses the terms the big I and the little I. And that really made sense for me. It helped me to understand it a lot. And what he says is, die daily to humanhood and be born to spiritual identity. And I like that. But how do we do it? And the other line that I like comes from the St. Francis prayer that Ari is saying, is dying that we are born to eternal life. And I like to add the word self. It's dying of self that we're born to eternal life. So if we can rid ourselves of our selfhood, if you will, and realize that we are one with all. So Goldsmith talks about, this chapter is called The False and Right Sense of I. The troublemaker is what he calls it. The reason for discord or inharmonies of any nature is a false sense of I. As long as I think that I must make a living, find a home, or decide what to do next year, just that long will I be facing problems of one nature or another. There is only one error in all the world, and that is entertaining a false sense of I. The solution to the problems, individually and collectively, is to gain the correct sense of I. The word I means God, source, spirit, creative intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. It has been said that if we could be silent on the subject of I for even half an hour, if we could drop I, Joel, completely, or I, Bill, or I, Mary, and contemplate that I, which is source, we would have the kingdom of God on earth. And he goes on to say, the only way we can experience a healing ministry from a high spiritual level is to be convinced that there is no I or selfhood apart from God. So, what an order, to remember that in fact, spirit is all that there is. That this human self of ours is that individualized expression of the divine. So if we can get rid of the idea that there's any separation, if we can get rid of the idea that there's anything that I am doing, if we can get rid of the idea that I'm the one that's doing the healing, I'm the one that's doing the work, and if we can remember that it is the Father within that doeth the work, the Father, Mother, whatever it is for you. It's not I, the little I, but it's the big I. The big I that is one with all that is that consciousness that is one with all that is. So when we're praying or meditating or we're doing our spiritual work, we don't want to take the problem into our meditation. And again, Goldsmith is really an absolutist. He's wonderful to read, but he's this is the way. And what he says is that our job is to focus on the divine. Our job is to focus on the solution. If we take our problems into our meditation, if we take our problems into our spiritual practice, we are not allowing ourselves to see the truth of what is. We've talked about it, and I've said before, as a religious science practitioner, we're taught that if you walk in a hospital room and you see a sick person, turn around and walk out. It's the practitioner's job to hold the truth. It's the practitioner's job to know that person is perfect, whole, and complete right now. It's like the sun is always shining, and the ego is the cloud that covers the sun. But we know that the sun's still there. We just remove that ego. And all that is the sun, is source, is God, is the universe. So if we can get to that place in our spiritual practice where we can sit and be one, where we can know that we are bigger than this physical body, and that would have a really hard time getting back in it if we got out of it. That we are magnificent. And we are those beautiful expressions of the divine. Ernest Holmes said it, and again, Trudy used it tonight, but Ernest said there's nothing to heal. There's nothing to heal, only to reveal the truth. And that's the truth, the big T. The truth that we are those beautiful individualized expressions of the divine. Goldsmith says his short version of it is, not I, not I, not I. And it's a balancing act. It truly is, because we don't want to negate who we are as individuals. We are magnificent. We've got these wonderful personalities. There's nobody like us, like a snowflake or our fingerprints. There's nobody else exactly like us. And we are spectacular. but we also are God expressing. And if we can remember that, we can make friends with our ego. We can be our magnificent self and be the creative, wonderful contribution to the world. So this week, I just ask you to take some time to just see and recognize Spirit in all that you do, in all that you are, and know that God is expressing as you in every moment. God bless you. Aria? We have Aria for a song.
Welcome to my soul, it's a precious thing. Started on a journey long ago, when it looked into the eyes of God and said, I want to be everything we are expressing as me. And God said, oh, I love you so. Of course you can go out on your own to spread our love, shine our light. But promise me you won't forget that we are of one mind, we are one heart, we are one soul, there's only one. So God gave me a personality through which we could both express our love. And He gave to me a body I could live in while I'm here. And then He handed me an ego just for fun. And God said, oh, I love you so. Of course you can go out on your own to spread our love, shine our light. But promise me you won't forget that we are of one mind, we are one heart, we are one soul, there's only one. There are times when I forget and I feel so alone and cold, and I reach out for a hand to hold. But I go inside and ask myself one question: to what do I really belong? From the blessed silence comes an answer sweet and clear. Never fear, 'cause I've been with you all along. And God said, oh, I love you so. Of course you can go out on your own to spread our love, shine our light. But promise me you won't forget that we are of one mind, we are one heart, we are one soul, there's only one. Promise me you won't forget that we are of one mind, we are one heart, we are one soul, there's only one. We are one heart, we are one soul, there's only one.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Perfect song, Aria.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, thank you, Aria. Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect song. Wonderful. I like how that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, it is the time of our service for our offering. And we're going to do it just a tiny bit different tonight. Those of you that were here on Sunday already know. But it is the 5th week, and it is our pledge week. Once a year, we ask for pledges. We ask for you to commit to whatever it is that you're able to give or that you think you might be able to give for 2016. It's how we set our budget here at Seaside. And so I ask you to just take a moment and contemplate, in fact, if that feels like something that you want to do, and you can fill this out and put it in the basket when it comes along. It is in your program. And then we also have auto tithe, which is also in your program. And it's a way that your monthly or weekly contribution is taken either out of your credit card or out of your bank account. And I'll tell you, I've been at Seaside since 2001. And this is the first year, 2015, that I've done auto tithe. And I love it. It is so much easier to do it, to know that I've kept my commitment, to know that it is that I'm doing what I need to do. And at the end of the year, I don't have to go, oh, I need to make up this much or whatever. And we don't hold you to it. It's not a contract. It's not binding. It's just whatever that you feel in your heart that you might want to commit to for 2016 to keep the works going that we do here at Seaside. And we are a tithing community, and we have tithed back out into the community over $1 million. And we're working on our $2 million, so we do take whatever money comes in and we put it back out into the world to do good works. So I'm just going to give you a minute to think about that, to fill out the card if it's something that you're called to do, and then I'll call the ushers forward. So I invite our ushers to come forward. Karen and Dennis, thank you for always being here. You two are such wonderful examples of service. Thank you, appreciate it so very much. So I just want to give thanks for the money that I know that's coming in, that the flow that's coming in, knowing that it is a divine abundance that flows in through and as Seaside, and that there is no end to this flow, that every activity and every class and every minister that here at Seaside is sourced, that every person that comes through this door is able to receive the gifts that they've come here to receive, and knowing that our doors are always open. We just let it be. Would you join with me in our prosperity affirmation? As I give thanks for the good now flowing into my life, I gladly share that good with others. The more I give, the more I receive. I experience a deeper consciousness of peace and security, for I know that I am in the embrace of a warm, loving presence, forever seeking an outlet through me. My cup runneth over. I exist in limitless possibilities. Thank you. Great. Thanks, Jim. Good to have you back. Jim was at Disney World, and now he's back. Good to have you. So I just have a couple of announcements before we close tonight's service. This next Sunday is the 6th Sunday of our Joyous Abundance program, and it is the end of the program, and it is our celebration Sunday. So it is a fun Sunday to be here. What we're going to have is a chili cook-off, which we have every year. Dennis is one of the ones to beat. He always seems to win first prize in his category. So come, we have chili for everybody after second service, and we also have a arts and craft fair going on. So we'll have a jumpy for the kids, and we have 35 vendors that'll be here selling their goods. So get some head start on your Christmas shopping or your holiday shopping, and come and play with us. It's just a time to say thank you. We appreciate you, and we're grateful that you're here and part of Seaside. Also on the 29th, which is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, we have a special person here. We have Kyle Cease, and he is where comedy and transformation meet. He's a comedian, really, but he's a minister, and he talks about all of these spiritual principles in a really fun way. He sells out arenas. He was at Revelations. He's really great. Come and see him Sunday for absolutely free on the 29th at both services, and stay for the workshop afterwards if you like. I want to say thank you to everybody who makes Wednesday nights possible. Thank you to Ginny Mills, who's our coordinator, Dennis and Karen for always being here as our ushers. Thank you for Trudy for serving as our practitioner tonight. Aria, Jim, thank you very much. Again, Trudy will be available for prayer afterwards in our chapel right out the side. Please don't leave here with anything on your heart. It is her joy to pray for you and with you. And she'll stay till midnight, she said, so that's pretty good. She can pray with everybody. Terry is here to open our bookstore for you tonight. We do have a few copies of Dr. Christian's book left. I've heard it is very hard to get, and it is sold out in Amazon and some other places. So that'll be in the bookstore for you tonight. So now's the time we like to pray. So please just bring into your consciousness anybody that you'd like prayer for, anybody you'd like to conclude in prayer, yourself, your family members, the world, Paris, just knowing that there is that one power and that one presence that is everywhere. And I know that that power is good and only good. I know that there is nothing, absolutely nothing but the divine. I know that there is only spirit, only love, only source. I know that there is one mind, one creative universe that is operating right here and right now. And I know that I am one with that source. I know that I am one with all that is. And just as I know this for me, I know it is true for each person here. I know that each one is a magnificent expression of the divine, perfect, whole, and complete right here and right now. And I know and I claim for each one that there's an absolute abundance that moves in and through their life, knowing that they are sourced with all that they need to create the most magnificent life for themselves and their families. I know that anybody that has written a prayer in the prayer request chest, that prayer is answered, that His Spirit always says yes, that there is a magnificent expansion taking place right now. And I know for the city of Paris that there's a healing happening, that there is love and there is fellowship and there is connection, and that there is a beautiful, magnificent energy that moves through our world, that evil and violence has no power here, that there is only love and only God right here and right now. It's with that sense of absolute knowingness. It's with that sense of absolute gratitude for the perfect unfoldment of our universe day by day that I just simply release these words into the divine nature of the law, knowing that it is already done, and so it is. Join me in our closing song.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. Once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
Namaste. God bless you. Join us for refreshments in the family room. Glad you're here.
So I'm kind of helping her, and she's paying me a little bit to help her. And so it's nice to have some expertise. No, she's teaching in a public school. Okay. So she's teaching French, and she's doing some like musical theater and stuff. So I wish I could get a gig doing that. I would love to teach musical theater. I think though that she is certified, because that was my first question. She went for her teaching certification. So yeah.
Okay, well, my point of that is there are a handful of songs that I have lead sheets for because I needed to transpose them. And if she happens to want any of those, I could print them in any key.
Okay.
Okay, and I could send you a list of them, or you could just say she wants these,
Yeah.
you have
Well,
them.
let me see what's happening, because if I'm thus